To Washington, D.C. now, where members of President Trump's cabinet are under fire for their handling of the Jeffrey Epstein files. Last week, Attorney General Pam Bondi announced that there is no Epstein client list, infuriating a number of the president's supporters who pushed for an investigation into Epstein's activities. So CBS News Justice correspondent Scott MacFarlane joining us live now. So Scott, the Epstein files, they were a major subject at the Turning Point USA Action Summit over the weekend, which is a convention for young conservatives. So how did speakers and attendees react? What were they saying about the handling of the files?
This is such a rare sight. It's a fracture inside the otherwise impenetrable MAGA base, because you had these young conservatives who so overwhelmingly swung in the direction of President Trump in the 2024 election, expressing their frustration that more hasn't been done to answer their questions about Jeffrey Epstein. The Jeffrey Epstein story now transcends Epstein himself. Now it's about how the Trump administration handles the promises that were made to release Epstein's files, whatever is known from the investigation of Jeffrey Epstein, about his death, about whether there are people whom he shared in the committing of crimes. The people who really inflamed these conspiracies before the Trump administration took office in January were the very people now navigating what to do about it. Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, Dan Bongino, Deputy Director of the FBI, and Kash Patel, the Director of the FBI. They are now in the position where they have to extinguish a fire that they fanned for months, and it's difficult to put out the fire of a conspiracy theory.
Yeah, okay, so far-right activist and Trump ally Laura Loomer is calling for a special counsel into the handling of the Epstein files. So what do we know on that?
Laura Loomer, who herself has been characterized as a conspiracy theorist in the past by her critics, is somebody who has been consistently and declaratively calling for Pam Bondi, the Attorney General, to be removed or to stand down. She has been a critic of Pam Bondi from the jump, and she is here. She thinks that the Department of Justice under Attorney General Bondi have not been transparent, had made promises or at least indicated they had some revelations in files to release, but never released those revelations. So it goes back to the bigger issue where you have Trump surrogates and supporters who have long decried a deep state that is working against the interests of the American people. Well, these critics are now questioning whether Pam Bondi and others are part of this alleged deep state. To be clear, though, the department and the FBI put out a two-page memo last week saying there was nothing to this Epstein conspiracy. Died by suicide, did not have a list of powerful people who committed crimes against children, but it's just difficult to disprove a negative, and this is a persistent political problem as the week begins for the administration.
But Scott, President Trump right now is defending Bondi, but his administration still pretty unhappy with her work. So what are you hearing?
Really important, if not interesting, social media posts over the weekend from the president on this topic. First of all, he unequivocally championed Pam Bondi, saying she's doing an incredible job, that he deeply supports her, but then also asked his supporters to turn the page, to move past Jeffrey Epstein. Typically, his supporters follow the president's lead. They follow his direction, but in this case, it's not working. He has supporters who are critical of what's going on with the release or lack of release of information about Jeffrey Epstein, and it is a political problem, the likes of which we haven't seen in this term for the president.
Scott MacFarlane. Scott, thank you so much.